I agree. Our greetings, everybody. This evening, we will have the Cosmic Serpent discussing balancing the divine masculine and divine feminine. With that, this is a very important topic, especially on the left-hand path for integration. So I shall let her take it away and give us her introduction. Take it away.
So, hello guys. I wanted to come on today and talk a little bit about the importance for individuals in balancing the divine feminine and divine masculine aspects within themselves. So it's super important because, well, first I'll preface to say that going forward, when we speak about the divine aspects of the self in regards to divine masculine and feminine, we're speaking more about the characteristics or the aspects themselves and not directly about a person, their physical being. So masculine and feminine are not specific to sex or gender. So when we talk about these aspects, it can be, and if we're addressing it, then we'll say that, but masculine and feminine energy is in everything. It's all around us. It is in the seed of creation. So it's important to know that. But we all have the potential to cultivate these characteristics within, and we should strive to do that. I mean, balance is important. With all the information that's circulating right now, if you're watching YouTube, if you're online reading information that's being put out, because the universe around us and within us, the planet, the collective is moving more into a semblance of balance. These messages are coming out. People are being more vocal about balancing these energies within. So I think that energy that's here is pushing that forward and allowing all of these people to come out and start talking about it. So it's important to focus because the reason why we're here is a spiritual journey. Like, we're all here for evolution, and the only way to really achieve a more holistic evolution is to incorporate both. Incorporate both the divine masculine and feminine into your life. And we'll define more what we mean by that. But yeah, that's my introduction. So there's so much on this topic. It's such a broad scale because it filters down from the higher realms, the higher levels, as the energy itself in pure form. It filters down to us here, on this plane, filters down into the physical form, and that's your identification or your gender. And then it filters further down into like the being of like the aspect of what's inside each individual, no matter the gender. So that's 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 where we are with it. So that's my introduction, Ivana.
Okay, appreciate that. Well, I
Mhm.
love that. To add on to that, the feminine would be the dark matter, dark energy. She would be the chaos. And the masculine is the consciousness in that chaos. If you go back to India, for example, in India, we take the story of Kali and Shiva.
Right.
Shiva laid still, perfectly still, in a state of unconsciousness before the divine feminine, that state of chaos, that state of dark matter, dark energy. As Kali was reaching a rageful level, he laid before her, and it was Kali who helped activate or reinvigorate Shiva once again by allowing the consciousness to be brought into that dark matter, dark energy, dark chaos
Mhm.
that exists eternally. So when we look at that, we have to understand what Cosmic Serpent is saying. It's important to have a balance between the two. Yes, we emphasize the dark feminine, the demonic feminine, but there's a reason for that. We emphasize it because it's been suppressed, demonized, and to a point almost eliminated from a lot of the spiritual workings and especially religious workings across the planet. So that's why we emphasize that a lot. But don't forget, the two are still synonymous with each other and important for each other for true integration and transformation to occur. Without the other one is less than. So understand that. Take it away, sis.
That just to kind of piggyback off what you're saying, when you define the energy, is that there has been matricide, and there has been a attempt to erase the divine feminine from the psyche of all that are out here, especially in Western culture. But the definition of the feminine energy is one that I've wrote a few things about it. It knows itself in its wholeness, so it's yin. It's like the yin energy, and it's the force behind the realm of manifestation and creation. The energy is fluid, and it is the dark, abysmal creative waters that are ready to be impregnated with whatever. So the manifestation realm, the womb, the seed, that is the truth. That's the truth. That's what the divine feminine aspect embodies. But the energy also embodies grace and intuition and the act of feeling, the act of knowing, and it holds unlimited power, like I said. It's connection to our emotions, it's connection to innocence and receptivity, creativity, influence, divination, passion, flow, softness, and purity. So when I say all of those things to speak about the divine feminine, I like to use it like you think about the archetype of Kali, like you just stated. All of those things are Kali, but she is a lot more as well. And we all know that she has the side of her that is a warrior, the side of her that is decisive, the side of her that is quick to kill, the side of her that is quick to movement, the side of her that is the gas pedal, whereas the other side is the brake. So she can be mother, she can be destroyer. And so when I speak about feminine aspects, in order to reach divinity or in order to call something divine, it has to have the two. It has to have the two. So we all look at that, the archetype of Kali as being the divine mother, but she has the aspect of the two. That means she houses both masculine and feminine. So that's just to kind of piggyback off of what you said.
Right, and that's correct. Now, Cosmic Serpent, hold on, because someone said you sound kind of muffled. Is anyone else saying she sounds kind of muffled? Yes? Yeah, okay. See, I knew the sound was acting up. Let me check something. Give me a second. Let me check the,
Okay.
let me check. All right, speak now.
Hello.
Yeah, it's still, I don't know. Let me check something. Give me a second. No. Where would this be? Yeah. Well, we're gonna have to just keep going. I don't understand what's happening. I really don't.
Really?
Yeah.
Hold on. Maybe it's me. I don't know.
No, it started happening last week when we were on here. Yeah, it started happening last week when we were on here. Towards the end, it started going in and out, and everything was sounding muffled. So,
Okay, well, I'll speak clearly.
no, don't.
So, yeah, well, we picked up where we were talking about the two joining as one in a divine union, and divine union is so important to be able to, like I said, reach levels of betterment, self-improvement, self-exploration, all require the incorporation of both of these energies. I like to describe it, if you have the foundations of Taoism. There's a couple pieces of information regarding that religion that I think that describe this perfectly. So it's the yin yang symbol, and we all know that symbol. But the symbol is the base color with the dot of the opposite. So meaning the aspect has a seed of the other. So when we incorporate this, we have to think about the yin yang symbol as being the reason why it's so important to have both of these within our being. And if you don't, you're separate from yourself. You're separate from the whole, because there is no whole without both parts. So the swirl of the dark is the yin, the feminine energy, and then the yang as the masculine. And so it's kind of like Darth Vader and Luke, and other things that are in our culture that have this this reflection. But it's beautiful because if you think about it, like like it's described, like when a plant grows, it's yin. When it's harvested, it's yang. When the water flows, it's yin. But the same water as it goes over a waterfall is yang. So the two can be each other at any point, but they also need to be themselves to make the whole. So it's really important that we incorporate these. Without one without the other is no balance. Um, you express the belief that both must be harmonious and flow within the structure of masculine and feminine, because that's the way that our creation is. Where we are, this plane is of that balance. So that's really important to me. I just like the way that that's described. So I'll leave it there. Can you hear me, Ravana?
Yes. You're still muffled. Do you have headphones, by the way? Do you have any headphones, Bluetooth or something?
I probably do. Yeah, I have headphones.
All right, because they said, Jeremy said that they can hear me clearly, but you're the one that sounds muffled. So I'm wondering if it's your phone or...
Okay.
Yeah, just
hold on. Pause.
Have headphones close by that you can plug in and see we can hear a difference.
Hold on.
Damn technology, boy, I tell you, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
So try that. How's that?
No, you still sound muffled.
Still sound muffled?
Yeah, still sound muffled.
Dang. Flipping. Okay. So, hold on.
Now you're frozen.
Oh no!
Right. You sounded clear for a second though. Frozen, but you're clear.
The sound?
Hey, I can hear you.
You can hear me now?
Yeah.
Yay! What the heck was that?
I don't know. You sounded like Darth Vader underwater. That's how you were sounding.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Now it's clearer now. So all right.
What?
Yeah, see, you sound clearer now.
Darth Vader.
Sound like Darth Vader underwater, so I'm saying.
Wow.
Yeah, because it was like all you could hear was you talking, but it sounded really muffled, like you were underwater. Seriously. That's not good. Hopefully when it records clearly, but we'll see. All right.
All right, no worries.
What was the last thing you said? Because I kind of...
I was talking about yin and yang and how they actually flow within each other, and they can be each other at the same point. They can be each other in any given second, and how it's important to know that our creation, where we are, is made up of that as well. And that's why we need to incorporate it. So I was talking about Taoism and yin and yang energy.
Okay. Yes. That's 100% correct, especially when you go into yin and yang. It shows you in the symbol itself, which I love the symbol because you have the dark and then the light, right? But people always forget that within the dark, you always have a little circle of light in there. In the light, you have a circle of dark in there, which is kind of representing that within the masculine, you have the feminine. Within the feminine, you have the masculine. Both are essential to your existence. Both are essential to your growth. Both are necessary. But one of the things I want to go back to that you mentioned that's really key is when you said Kali. Kali, people are used to Kali, in the modern day form of what we hear about Kali. And they forget that Kali was a warrior. She was created to be a warrior. That was her first creation, was totally to be a warrior. She was birthed from the third eye of Durga, right? And she came from straight chaos or darkness into this world to destroy the demons. Of course, she got a healthy appetite for devouring. And that's when the gods went to Shiva and said, yo, son, we need your help because, Kali about to take us out too. That whole thing happened there. So, people forget that the power of the female is not what we always think. When people hear the feminine energy, why is it that people think of motherly nature? That is 100% correct, though. But that is not the only aspect of a female. Feminine energy is warrior in nature, creative in nature, power in nature, fortitude in nature, etc., etc., etc. Remember, for all these great pharaohs and kings and rulers and all that, there was always the ruling female on his side, not in back of him, not in, she was always on his side. Modern day society tends to eliminate the feminine in imagery and iconography and things of that nature, but in ancient times you could see that. That is essential and important, because as you go forward, especially in the left-hand path, you start to understand that integration is key. Without integration, you are an incomplete being. This is what the religious world or the right-hand path mentality doesn't understand. They always big up one over the other. If you have the Wiccans big up the goddess over everything, then they forget about the masculine. Then you have your spiritual groups on the right-hand path who big up the masculine a lot and then forget about the feminine. Then you have religion in itself, Allah, Yahweh, Jehovah. It's always a male figure, eliminating the feminine. Well, see, that's the problem. If you eliminate the feminine, then you're an incomplete being. If you eliminate the masculine, you're an incomplete being, because both are essential for integration. The integration is accepting the darkness, the energy of darkness, the matter of darkness, and the chaos within darkness. It's accepting, and not only accepting, but embracing it within yourself, especially as a man. Men have a problem accepting the feminine within themselves, because unfortunately we've been brainwashed or influenced by idiots who make you think that if you embrace the feminine that you're going to wear a skirt tomorrow. That's not going to happen, okay? Unless that's in your nature for that to come out, then it's all good. But if it's not in your nature for that to come out, it's not going to happen where you're going to wear a skirt tomorrow. It just means you're embracing that part of Kali, let's say, or that part of Heteru, or that part of Lilith that exists within you, embracing it and merging it with the masculine.
That's so true.
I know you have more insight on that part.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, for the realization of it is that the reason why there has been a mass extinction of the divine feminine is because she is what she is. She is whole within herself. She is the creatrix force, and that creatrix force, if not understood and embraced, is a threatening force. That force is the force that is able to create and destroy within itself. So the matricide that's happened is a direct product of, I mean, just think about the Trinity. Just think about Christianity and the Trinity. Not only is there one, there's a Father, Son, and a Holy Spirit, which are all three of a masculine derivative. Right. So the feminine in the West, especially in the Western culture and in many other cultures, has been stunted, and the alchemical transformation that we have to go through as far as incorporation is not possible a lot of times unless we seek it out, because women have been demonized and they've been pushed to the side because of the sheer nature of the power, the sheer nature of the fact that this is a realization for any energy that this is where it derived from. So without being able to understand it, cultivate it, and incorporate it in your life, in addition to honoring yourself, in addition to honoring your nature as the divine masculine, then you will always have those men and those people, and the women too, that put these pieces of information out, that write these books, and that adhere to these notions that the divine feminine is not to be put out front. She's not to be alongside the man, like you said. She's not allowed to be alongside the divine masculine, as it is a lesser energy. But it's all based on the programming that has been seeded into us, So it's very, very telling, and also in our lives, that while we're here, in our relationships and things, you can notice where there's imbalance. If you don't adhere to the notion of nodding and acknowledging the Great Mother, in addition to acknowledging the divinity within yourself as a divine masculine, then you're going to have problems in your life, because those particular aspects will rear their head. And if you're dealing with someone who also has an imbalance or who is balanced, you're going to get checked at that part every single time. Where are your imbalances? So it's just a very telling story of how the matricide that has been our circumstance for the last cycle has done a number on our psyches. It has changed the way that we view. There is no more reverence. The reverence is all dished out. It's not given fully, and it should be given fully to both, because, like we keep saying, without one, there is not the other. The incorporation of the two is what creates divinity. Divinity is a accomplishment. We're all sacred for being infinite beings, being here on this plane, being endless and boundless. We are sacred. But divinity is an achievement. Divinity is something that you must work towards. And the main thing in the law of gender talks about that. We have to incorporate that. That's why you always see in alchemy, when they talk about inner alchemy and personal alchemy, they always talk about that you always see the symbols of the hermaphrodite beings. You always see those in all of the alchemical writings. And if you read texts, you always see red and blue, fire and water, that always correspond to the incorporation of both. So yeah, the divine feminine has been suppressed, and she is definitely recalling a lot of space, recalling a lot of time, and recalling a lot of our energy and our psyche. She's coming back through people speaking out, through women coming into themselves, the realization of their divinity. But like I said, divinity is something that you have to achieve by incorporating both. There is no divine aspect of shutting out the sacred masculine, in light of what he has what he has done, or what you consider that energy to be associated with. That's why it's important to split your thinking when you think about divine masculine and male, or divine sex or gender, or what has been done. There is no external, you don't externalize. So yeah, that's a couple pieces to what I wanted to say about that.
I love it. I wanted to add on to that. In the Hindu or Eastern concept of India, they have Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Brahma, right, the creator, Vishnu, the preserver, Shiva, the destroyer. But there is, in certain Sanskrit writings, where they discuss that even Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva bow down to Shakti.
Right.
They understand Shakti. They understand the creation, the creative force, and how she is necessary for life. She is the one that activates the consciousness of Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. She is the one that activates the consciousness, and she activates that energy within us. It was a book written in 2012 by an individual named Drunvalo Melchizedek. Some of his ish is all right, but he wrote a book called about the 2012 and the Great Serpent, or something like that was the title. Basically, he was saying that a lot of people have the 2012 kind of messed up, because what's really happening is the earth in itself, the vibratory frequency of the earth, the Shakti energy is rising from the core of the earth upward. And it's right, coming upward. This is why you're starting to see the divine feminine be empowered more and be brought to a position of power greater than in the past, albeit since about 6,000 years ago, or 3,000 or 4,000 or less, when she was at her supremacy at one time. That is important to understand, because no matter where you go, no matter what you do, you're going to have to deal with this reality within yourself. You're going to have to deal with, okay, how as an individual do I activate the Shakti within me? Okay, especially you have to understand this part as well. As a man, it may be a little more difficult for you to activate the Kundalini than a female. The female internally, she's an internal being. By nature, she internally cleanses and purifies herself monthly. A man is an external being, so it's harder for him to purify and to actually do the alchemical process without some aid or assistance. Okay? Because she's an internal being, her connection to Shakti, or the inner serpentine fire, is innate. Whereas a man has to work at grabbing it and bringing it in to himself by one, for example, the bandala. We've talked about this before. Man and woman should do this, but particularly a man, you should learn the bandalaks, which starts at the root. Okay, and that bandalak is essential. It's the perineum that must be flexed or spasmed to start raising up this energy. A woman by nature experiencing an orgasm, which unfortunately, according to statistics, only about 85% of women have ever experienced an orgasm, by nature experiences spontaneous Kundalini awakening through the orgasmic state. I'll leave it at that and let Cosmic Serpent take it away.
Yeah, those are all great practices, because like you said, being the force that is the, like I said, the gas pedal, or the push, or the momentum, as the masculine energy is, the feminine is the receptive. She is the energy that will be able to take in and to consume. And so a lot of things are easier for the feminine energy. Now, when, like I said, and I'm speaking about this, the feminine energy does not signify male or female, doesn't signify sex in what we're talking about. So if you are a male, I know quite a few that are more divine in their feminine aspect than some of the young ladies that I know, so it just depends on the vessel, and it depends on what you've chosen to incorporate. It's easier because in society, women have been more vocal towards their experiences. They've been able to tap in. We are innately able in our bodies, in our energy bodies, to be able to sense things. That is our nature, as far as being mothers and as far as being protectress energies to our children and our families. So we are able to feel things in our energy bodies, and that will give us the sensitivity to be able to say, well, do I feel like I have an imbalance? What's going on? And then it always comes to the point of whether you're going to do the work or not. But those are really great techniques. I had one balancing practice that I wanted to talk about, and a lot of the things that I discuss, and Ravana knows I'm all about shadow work. I mean, going within when you're attempting to balance these energies within yourself is really important. But I think we spoke about it a little bit last week when someone asked a question, but for men to incorporate this into their life, it's important to incorporate the divine aspect of the feminine that resonates with you. It's important for that, because what has happened is because of the split and because of the overtones of patriarchy that have given the divine feminine a demonized view or a negative view. There are some that do give her the reverence that she deserves, but there's also some that have not been privy to that. They may not have had a feminine aspect in their lives. They may not have had the mom. They may not have had a grandmother. They may not have had good relationships with women. So connecting to a non-attached aspect of the divine feminine is really important. If you are one of those men that feel like, you need to tap more into your intuition, if you've been told that you make decisions without considering others, if you've been told that, you have this hard exterior, or if you are relating to that energy and you want to be able to incorporate more of that into your life, if you've been told that, a non-attached aspect of the divine feminine is a good way. So archetypes. So negative or traumatic interactions with women will have a big weight on how you're actually viewing the divine feminine. So working with these archetypes that are integrated, like Kali, like the Shiva Shakti, um, archetypes, these archetypes, whatever you find, all that incorporation, Lilith as well. These particular energies are great to be able to relate to as a non-attached version. So incorporating that into your life with ritual. We had a great video. If you want to go back and watch it, we talked about sex magic and flesh rites. I think flesh rites are a great way to be able to incorporate these two aspects of the divine into yourself if you really understand what you're doing during the session. And when you look at a woman, when you look at a person, you can see the divinity in them, and that is all a product of being able to be balanced. So men can use the archetypes, honoring themselves through the process of releasing emotion, honoring themselves through the process of healing. That's another thing. It's important that divine masculine realizes its nature within itself to be able to even understand the divine feminine. You have to understand who you are as what you are, and not let anyone dictate that just based on societal norms. So if you feel like Ravana was saying, that if you incorporate the divine feminine into your life, that you're going to be feminized to a point of being uncomfortable, there is work there to do. I mean, there's work there to do. This particular energy is one that is going to be necessary for you to understand the divine feminine or deal with someone that has that cultivated within them. I wrote a little bit about the reasons why this actually could be difficult for men, because in this society and in Western culture, women as the receivers have been given, even though there is suppression, we have been given the opportunity more so to speak about our trauma, to speak about things that have happened to us. Men, unfortunately, will get congratulated on how quickly they've gotten over something. So, not to be able to, not to have anyone stand with them and honor the trauma and get them through it, but to be congratulated, oh, you got over that quickly. So if something as far as a practice, as far as embarking on a practice of cultivating the divine feminine within you sparks any emotions, let them come up, let it flow. That's the nature of the divine feminine. So that's just a couple notes I had.
Indeed. And now that you brought that up, let's say this part here. I'm going to list some of the androgynous deities that you can work with, archetypes that you can work with on this path. Okay?
Michael Jackson and Prince.
Yeah, he's first. He's first. But all right, I'm gonna mostly use African, Indian, and throw a couple other cultures in there as well. So first, from Ghana, West Africa, you have Abrao, which is related to Jupiter, and that's Abrao. And you have Aku, which is related to Mercury. And you have Awo, which is the moon. These are androgynous and transgender deities from Ghana. Okay? By the way, I hope you conscious coons are listening. Anyways, keep going. Next one, Agni. Hindu, a serial androgyne. Okay. Next, you have Amen, Ghana, which is a androgynous or bisexual deity of the planet Saturn. You have Angamungi from Australian Aborigine, an intersex rainbow serpent.
Right.
You have Ardatani, Navajo, which is a symbol of corn beetle. The symbol of female generative power may be represented as male or female. Okay. You have Aphrodite or Aphroditus from Cyprus, an androgynous bearded Aphrodite was Aphroditus. Okay. Apollo, well, no, let me skip that one. From India, you have, they have two different spellings for it. There's Ardhanahar, wait, my Sanskrit sucks. So it's Ardhanarari, and then you have Ardhanarshivara, okay, which is the androgynous deity of Shiva and Shakti as one. You've seen images depicting this where they show one side Shiva, one side Shakti. All right. You have, let's see, what else? Let's skip some of these and go down further. For those who walk the Voodoo or love to incorporate Voodoo or things of that nature, Baun Samdi, Baron Samdi, at times can appear in a transgender form. In Hindu, you have Vuchara Mata, which is a protective patron goddess of transgender individuals. You have Baun Lundi and Baun Limba. Okay, you have so these are just some of the different ones. Anyways, if you want this damn thing, okay, this whole list here for those who want to work this integrating the divine masculine, divine feminine, hit me up with an email. I'll give you the email at the end. I have a whole list that discusses all the intersexed, transgendered, or androgynous archetypes there are across this planet. Okay, it's a comprehensive list. Get at me. All right, but being that's the case, if you want to work this, yes, the stigma is still there when it comes to, okay, I'll say it like this. When I first really got into the left-hand path years ago, I thought that, the divine masculine was what's going to stand out. All these masculine deities was going to stand out. I soon found out that you have Kali came to, that energy just presented itself. Lilith presented itself. My symbols were resonating with those divine feminine archetypes. Okay, there's numerous other ones, but they were, especially with Kali and Lilith, they resonated with that. And it wasn't so much of what people think, it was more the warrior aspect. When you go throughout cultures in this planet, the most fierce warriors tend to sometimes be, in large part, females, which is kind of contrary to what we know about here in the West and how we've been conditioned mentally in the West, that all the warriors are masculine. This is how we're kind of like programmed through movies and our history books and, fairy tales or whatever the case. That's not true, especially when you walk the left-hand path. You start to understand that divine feminine is a strong warrior aspect. If you're lacking in that warrior quality or energy within yourself, walking this path, do not be surprised if you start to resonate with feminine energy in that respect. And the reason I say that is because a lot of times we're preconditioned to think, okay, I'm going to get in this left-hand path and I'm going to work this warrior aspect. I want to bring more of that aggressive energy, and we're automatically conditioned to think it's going to be a man or a masculine kind of archetype. And that's not what I found to be true on this path. What I found to be true most of the time is the warrior is a feminine archetype. And that's the reality of this when you work this. Now, if you do work that as a masculine or as an individual, as a man, and that presents itself, don't wrestle with it. Don't fight it. Embrace it. Give into it. Because you're going to start learning things about yourself that you knew not before. Like, for example, that energy and vibration and frequency of Kali is going to open shit up in you that you never realized before. My brother Necro Cannon knows that. All right, he been working with her for a minute.
Yes,
he knows that. Okay, it's going to open stuff that we suppress as men as well. It's going to open up and destroy things that are blocking us as well. Lilith has a destructive, very destructive force when it comes to working this path. People think Lilith is just sexual. Sorry. She's very destructive, very revengeful at that too. All right? So keep that in mind when you work this path and you walk it, that if these feminine archetypes present themselves, it's because many times, and I'm going to say this before I pass it back to Cosmic Serpent, people think, and I have to say this because I hear what people say in videos or Instagram or whatever the case. People think that because an archetype or a god, goddess, deity comes to you as they think, she came to me and spoke to me or whatever. They think it's because you're hot shit. That's what they think. They're hot shit, so that's why this archetype or deity came. Sorry. I'm here to bust your bubbles. It came to you because 99% of the time when these archetypes present themselves, meaning within your mind, all this is happening within your mind, it presents itself is because that is where you are most lacking in.
right.
So if Kali presents itself, it's not because you're hot shit. I'm so divine now because Kali came to me. No, nigga. It's because your ass is dysfunctional or missing some keys that you need, and Kali's trying to jack your ass up by the neck and say, listen, nigga, I'm going to yoke your ass up till you get it. I'm not here because you hot shit. I'm here because you lacking or deficient in certain areas of your life that I represent. And if I'm here representing that through your mind's eye, if I'm here representing that, then that means you should take heed and focus on those parts of yourself that are lacking.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's so important. I think that just as important as it is for the males on the path to be able to incorporate the divine feminine in ways that might not be normal to them or might take a little extra work or take a little self-realization, it's just as important for females. I mean, I am a product of that. I am 100% a product of that because learning the goddess tradition and coming into myself when I was early along in my path, the essays and the pieces of information and the books that I would read all glorify the divine feminine. And most of the time, the information that we are privy to when you're earlier, if you're reading Wicca or reading whatever you can get your hands on earlier, will talk about the divine feminine as this amazing force, but that it is whole within itself and needs nothing else. You know, and I completely adhered to that. Why do I need to work with a masculine energy? For what? It doesn't do anything for me. I am whole within myself. You know, the masculine energy did not resonate with me. It was nothing that I wanted to have anything to do with. And I wondered why I would have issues in my life, you know, not to get too personal, but I would have issues in my life regarding those parts of myself and honoring those parts and identifying those parts in other people and not being at odds with it, you know? So incorporating that earlier along into my practice would have saved me a lot of heartache. So when women think about the divine masculine aspects of themselves, we are chaos personified. We just are. We are chaos personified. We are the ability to create. We are the ability. We are the ability to produce. We are the emotion behind the thing, but the thing, the momentum, the going forward, the movement is the order. And
in order to order it, you have to incorporate aspects of masculine energy. You have to. Indecisiveness is inherently a feminine trait. Not to say that we all are indecisive, but I'm talking about myself, period. I'm talking about myself, I speak about myself in this. There was a moment in time that I actually got down to the definition of what the divine feminine energy meant to me and what the divine masculine energy meant to me. And I had a completely 100% overrun energy body full of divine feminine energy, honoring her grace, her beauty, her everything, her magic, but turning a blind eye to the divine masculine because I did not feel like it needed to be incorporated into myself. When I did, my life changed. Putting order to the chaos was something that I needed to do. I incorporate that into my life using ritual. But that's why deific masking is something that I think that is important that we, adhere to. If you are on the path of self-deification and you want to incorporate these aspects into your life, and in personal interaction, I build with the brothers. I interact with them, because incorporating the masculine energy is something that I need for balance because I literally lived it. I lived that imbalance, and everything that came for me or came to me or was presented to me that was under the guise of the divine masculine was attacked by me,
Exactly.
Check.
Now, I have a question for Cosmic Serpent.
Just check, so yeah.
Someone wants to ask you a question. It's a devil's advocate question. This is from Brother Phil.
Mm.
Yeah. He says, devil's advocate, if so destructive, why even deal with it, especially if a person is already imbalanced? That's the first question. First part. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just one at a time for you. If the energy is so destructive, why even deal with it, especially if a person is already imbalanced?
Why even deal with the divine feminine energy if a person is already imbalanced?
Yeah. If the energy can be destructive, why even deal with it if the person is already imbalanced?
Because destruction is necessary for building. Destruction is necessary in our lives to be able to build anything. There is no building without, having a clear playing field. And I think that when the energy behind the question, and I hope I'm right when I'm answering this, and I hope it resonates with you, but when we talk about how destructive this energy is, it's not destruction in the life as far as physical. It's not going to, you're not going to incorporate. Now, I won't say I know the brothers, now I know Necro Cannon and Brother Noon can talk about this. Not to say that when you start working with this energy, you won't have destruction in your life, but it's necessary. Incorporating the aspects of the dark divine feminine, if that's what we're talking about, is going to give you more so of a shaking at your core, because what she does is she brings about change. She brings about the clearing, the clearing of things that are in your life that might need to have some destruction incorporated into them. I know, if I'm speaking about myself personally, when I initially started working with the energy of Kali, a lot of things went crazy in my life. A lot of situations got turned upside down. A lot of people left. I had to change up the way that I interacted with people, but that was her as a great mother knowing exactly, as the energy knowing exactly what I needed and doing that as a destructive force. She came in and wiped away my ability to bullshit myself. So she came away and wiped away the energy of being able to put an illusion over things and sweep things under the rug. That's what that energy does. So when we talk about destructive forces, it's about, turning things over in your life and changing the way that your perception is, and not destroying anything, not destroying anything that's going to hurt you, but, just energetically.
All right. There's another part to the question. Yeah, take a sip of water for this one. The other question. Doesn't balance happen either way, whether you focus on it or not?
In my opinion, no. If left unchecked, I mean, you are, if that's what you adhere to, you know, if you're not working towards cultivating it, if balance is what we are. Balance is what we are as unlimited potential beings and divinity, yes. But balance also has to be cultivated. What we're talking about is, in my opinion, cultivating these aspects when you sense the imbalance, if that happens to you. If you're a person that realizes that you are the balance, you know, if you're accepting all of it, that's a great place to start. But what we're talking about is evolution, you know. So balance does happen as you are a divine, endless, boundless, beautiful being, but you know, evolution is important. So cultivating those aspects do need to be tended to, you know. So that's how I answer that question.
All right, let me take a stab at this question. I'm gonna stab at it real quick.
Hopefully I answered it correctly.
In my opinion, through studies and experience, balance is bullshit. Let me explain why.
I already knew you were going to say that.
Of course, balance is bullshit. The reason why I say that is because what we define as balance, what we interpret as balance, is everything being equal across the board. Equality is not real. That's first and foremost. There's nothing equal on this planet, okay? If there was, there would be no Kevin Durant, who, by the way, stiffed my Knicks again. But anyways, that's another story. There would be no Kevin Durant, okay? There would be no Michael Jordan from the past. There would be nobody that's great like that, because everybody would be equal. That would, what people equate as equal is what they also equate to balance.
Right.
Well, balance in that sense, and what we've been taught, is not real. When you look symbolically at how balance is represented, it's scales, and the scales are equal. If nothing is moving, fluctuating in your life, stagnation occurs from balance. Destruction wakes our asses up, puts that shit upside down, shakes you to the core to get your ass in gear to cause new creation to come into your life. Balance is not real in the sense of how we've been taught. This is integration. Harmonious integration is real, meaning you can integrate, like we're speaking about this evening, the masculine and the feminine. You can integrate it into the self. You can integrate it into the self. But you have to understand, when you're integrating the masculine and the feminine, you're basically accepting and agreeing to the fact that motherfucking chaos is coming into your life. You're accepting that destruction is coming into your life, because it has to and must come in there to eliminate our weak ways, our lazy ways, or anything else. It has to come into our life and turn it upside down for us to cause a change and create new. If we don't do that, then what we're doing is just sitting there basically playing with ourselves, saying, oh, I'm so balanced, I don't need to do nothing, I'm all good, I'm all really? Well, if that's the case, then what do you have left to do if you're so balanced? I'm not directing this to anybody, this is in general, okay? What do you have left to do if you're so balanced? Why are you still here physically on this planet, okay? Because if you reach the state of balance as what has been taught in so-called supreme knowledge and different things like that, your ass would not need to be here. The purpose for destruction is to cause movement. The purpose of chaos is to cause movement and change. Without it, it cannot occur. So balance, it doesn't exist. In my idea of life, it doesn't exist. Integration exists, meaning I could accept the feminine, but when I accept it, I'm accepting everything about it, not just like a lot of people do. Well, I'm gonna just accept this part of the feminine, the destructive part, because it's so hardcore. It means she's hardcore, and then you don't accept the nourishing, motherly part of it either. Nah, that means accepting all that ish and integrating into your life, and vice versa with the masculine. Is working the two and bringing it together. So, yeah, that was just my 2 cents. Anyways, yeah. All right. We're gonna come back to Phil's questions if I remember, because he asked a lot of questions there. So let's go to Brother Cypher or Sister Cypher. Not sure, but I'm gonna take a guess. It's Brother Cypher. I'm not looking at people's pictures, by the way. I can only see Cosmic Serpent because she's the main feature of the show. So, Brother Cypher says, greetings, Fire Bill. Can you share some insight on divine masculine and feminine balance as it relates to creating magical entities?
Woo, that's a good question.
Yep.
So creating magical entities, if you're talking, I hope that I'm going to answer this where it resonates with you, but that's a topic I love. So if you're creating magical entities and you're incorporating them, if you feel like you have the need for balance, that is unlimited potential of being able to incorporate that. You know, creation of our own shit is like the most potent thing that you could ever do. You know, we work with these archetypes and the deities, but creation of your own deities and creation of your own magical, of your own magical entities is perfect for this type of work. You know, if you are getting ready to create something that you're going to use to fuel your, progression, it's perfect. Use that particular energy that you need when you notice the imbalance, when you can check yourself, when you allow the realization of what's happening in your life to say, okay, this is where I'm lacking. I'm no longer going to adhere to the things that I used to do. I'm going to change myself, and I want to use an archetype to be able to help me do that with, and I'm going to create this bad boy. So you can use anything, any type of energy. That definitely does help. I incorporate the aspects of the masculine in some of the archetypes that I've created for myself, some of the, down to the thought forms, things that I've created for myself. Incorporating the masculine is incorporating the feminine for you, either one. That is a perfect place to insert that. Give them feminine qualities, give them the qualities that you would like to have, because that's all we're doing when we're creating deity, when we're creating these energies to be able to push us forward. That actually is a perfect place. So great question. That's fun. I now you got me fired up on that.
Yeah, that was a dope, definitely a dope question.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add on, Cosmic Serpent, before we go on to take questions?
Nope.
Nope. All right, so let's go. Let's go take some questions, y'all. We coming live to y'all now. We coming to y'all. Better say you have a question. Now, if anybody in here says, I don't have a question, I just have a comment, except for Demetrius. He's the only exception who can say that. I'm playing. You must give me 10 push-ups by the time you say that shit. All right, now I'm playing. All right, let's start with KG. KG. How you doing, KG?
I'm still thinking of my question.
10 push-ups.
Because I definitely when Cosmic Serpent was talking about how when she first started studying and realized how wonderful and powerful the divine feminine was, I definitely just did the same thing. I'm like, what? Masculine, what, where? And this all of them, all my studies just went into divine feminine archetypes and things like that, and deities. Right. And then when I did that, I found out, I created my first altar, and I found out that in my relationship, even though I was spending almost every other day with my boyfriend, I still felt lonely. Then it wasn't until I added the masculine aspect of that particular deity, her partner, her husband, then I felt balance. So I totally understand what you mean by that. What are other ways? I mean, I don't know. It's tough for me to want to incorporate the masculine energy because we're so bombarded with it all the time. So I guess that would be my question. How do I really should I make an extra effort, or because it's hitting me everywhere all the time, do I really need to make an extra effort to incorporate them or work with my masculine energy?
Great question. Great question. I think that one of the things that helped me is the determining factor of what I'm actually working with. So the energy that we're hit with, the energy that we're bombarded with all the time that has a masculine undertone is not divine. It's not a divine energy. It's a stifling energy, and a lot of times it's an energy that doesn't actually promote balance. You know, I wish we all lived in Crete. Like, I wish that the matriarchal, you know, I wish that the matriarchal way was still the way, you know, with both being together, synonymous with each, you know, together with each other, but not one above the other. So the energy that we're hit with all the time, in my opinion, is that not of the divine. And I remember I remember setting up one of my first altars and doing what I read in a book. This is way long time ago, you know, doing what I read in a book. And I had a side for the God energy and the goddess energy. So you set up your altar, you have your God and your goddess energy on the altar. And I just remember my goddess, the side of my altar that had the goddess figures on it and the structures was beautiful. It was elaborate. It was fleshed out. It had all these different archetypes, and it had all these different places for offering, and it was amazing. And over here I had nothing. Like, it was so vacant, and there was no energy in the masculine corner at all. And I just, one day I looked at my altar and I'm like, this is reflective of what's going on inside of me. So if you feel like you want to make an extra effort, just think about the traits of the qualities of the divine feminine, of the divine masculine, and look at where you might be lacking in your life, and incorporate those aspects. The toxicity can stay outside, you know, because the divine aspect of the masculine is something that is beautiful and loving and nurturing, and that we need, you know, to kind of give us the drive behind the things that we're doing. So yeah, I think it's a great thing. Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Hey, KG, let me also say this. From what I get from KG, I can understand why you're kind of like saying that too, is because KG already has strong masculine energy. I don't know if you realize this, KG, what you do.
I always have, yeah.
So that could be one of the reasons why you find it hard to work with divine masculine, because you already incorporate it and embrace it naturally in your life. Mm-hmm. So you kind of find it hard to do that. I would also suggest I'll send it to you and anybody else who asks for it, the list of these androgynous deities or archetypes that you might be able to work at, instead of just strictly just doing like the masculine incorporating. You might want to work on more of the androgynous deities, because that might help in your work as well. All right? Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Brother Demetrius, you next.
Alrighty. Hello. I remember you said something about the Holy Trinity. Yes, the Christians have fucked that formula up. I'm not here to repair that or to fix that. So that's their fault, and they'll figure it out.
Right.
With the divine feminine and divine masculine, I look at it from a more scientific viewpoint. You're very right about the concept of it not being about your genitals. I mean, yes, right. You know, if you have a female body, you are the storehouse of Shakti. If you have a male body, you're kind of the storehouse of Shiva.
Right.
But in between all that, there's, like in India, they recognize 11 different genders. Right. So you have your sex of male and female, and you have your bioenergy, and you have your biomemory, which could be a mixture of male and female all throughout that. So it's kind of crazy. You think you've got gender equality issues here? You go over there, it's pretty wild, but it's very balanced over there, though. They understand how that science works.
Exactly.
So I see it more scientifically. It's like feminine energy is very implosive, whereas masculine energy is very explosive. So the way I incorporate that feminine implosive is through something I learned years ago. It's kind of like spiritual fusion, where you just kind of draw energy, have energy come into you from the cosmos, just into you at all times, like stars do. And you get that balance because it's that feminine rush of internal energy is producing a radiance, which is that masculine projective aspect that happens very naturally. So for me, I like working like that because I don't have to really do a lot of crazy stuff externally. I do, I enjoy bell, book, and candle too, where gods and goddesses and things like that. Because the tradition I'm initiated into, you could have a circle with 2 gods or 2 goddesses or a mixture of whatever. It's alchemy is what you're doing. These different projective and internal energies together. So it's just knowing that you are both of those energies. I think what happens in our society that we kind of pigeonhole people into one or the other, whereas you're actually both, and it's just getting the awareness. I think Ravana's advice to KJ was great. Work with an androgynous deity. Like in the Greek traditions, you have Hermes. Hermes is either or. A lot of those deities in the Greek traditions are either or. When you start looking at the stories and looking at the reflections, and it's like, yeah, you got it gets mixed up sometimes. You can't tell the difference. I think it's in the Orisha tradition. You got Oshamari. Oshamari is male one half of the year and female the other half of the year. So, but yeah, this is a great topic. And as far as what Cypher was talking about, making servitors, when you are channeling that united energy, you'll be able to create your servitors and entities a lot faster because it's life. You're pouring direct life into that entity. Along with your other magic will happen a lot faster too, because that you're dealing with direct life current when you've got them both together flowing at the same time.
True.
Right.
That's it.
Appreciate that, brother.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so wait a second. Where we at? Okay. All right, Necro Cannon, you next.
Greetings. First off, I want to say wonderful topic. Second off, I want to say thank you, sister, very much for your speech and actually bringing this forward, and Ravana for allowing this topic to be there. I want to say yes, it is very critical and dire for a man to be able to incorporate the feminine aspect within their lives, especially if this whole time you think if you think that to not incorporate the chaos in your life, because as they did state, the feminine energy is chaotic, and overall, in regards to duality, there really is no such thing as duality. We're just the physical manifestations of consciousness expressing that duality of what we chose. Thus, we still have to incorporate the other half because everybody's still the same. I mean, we're just reversed if you think about it. The whole network system is just put inside out. So once you start incorporating the other energy inside of you and you have harmony, because I also agree with Ravana, there is no such thing as balance. Balance is stagnation. That's the computer monitor. Like everything else around you is balance. It's collecting dust. It ain't moving, right? But as soon as you have that harmony and you're in tune with the chaos of what's going to come your way in order to destroy what is not necessary for you, and as a learning lesson, because that's the only way that you will truly learn, is if something chaotic comes your way. Because if it's just handed to you, you'll pass it by. But if it's something that triggers the emotional movement inside of you, and that emotion in itself is the feminine aspect. The logical aspect, when you look at it and be like, okay, this is how I'm going to deal with this within the situation, utilize this anger that I have in order to get this done. Now you're incorporating both of them together. And like how I incorporate a lot of Polly within my life. Like I literally invoke her. I walk in her flesh, so to speak, because I know that's the energy of what I'm calling for me. And she manifested that energy type, manifested in my life when I needed her the most in order to wipe out a bunch of bullshit. And yeah, the physical emanations from what I got, yeah, it tore my life upside down, flipped it out, but I understand that it was a learning lesson. I'm a much better individual at this day and time than I've ever been since I've incorporated that. So whenever you do get the chance to just choose or select the list from Ravana that he has for you, if it's difficult for you to incorporate the female essence inside of you like that, but once you do, your life will change. That's all I have to say on that. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
Cool.
Thank you, Necro Cannon.
All right, Jeremy R., you is next, brother.
Hey, what's up, man?
What up, bro?
Yeah, this is an excellent topic, man. Yeah, I have something that I could share on it. I think like the most studying and the learning I've done is understanding how to uh, harmonize the masculine and feminine within you. This made me remember the masculine and feminine parts of the brain, the left hemisphere being the masculine, the logic, rational, and then the right hemisphere being the feminine, which is more creative and things like that. And uh, that made me realize I would reflect on it and see where I was lacking in doing the change, and transformation. So I would see that maybe I was too far on this side, not using enough logic, and then I could reflect on time where I needed to be using more logic. So I think it's important to harmonize, get that energy harmonized within, and just make a good assessment, a true and honest assessment of yourself. See where you're lacking, or see what you need to change or let go, devour. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, you get it.
Absolutely.
That's what's up. I appreciate you, both of you. Appreciate you, Cosmic Serpent.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you too, because that's wonderful.
Appreciate that, brother.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, next is Duma. Brother Duma, what's good?
Hey, how you guys doing today?
Good.
I just want to express how this topic is really good, and like when I first got on this magical path, I started with the fluffy Wiccan stuff. That was my first introduction into it. A sister I knew had got me reading some books and stuff like that, and I could see how it was making me rethink my whole way of thinking because of past groups I've been in, dealing with the feminine. But then it came to a point where it seemed like it was kind of doing the same thing that they were saying that the patriarchal systems were doing in a way, and not bringing more, how can I say, of a more egalitarian balance to the whole framework of their narratives.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm glad I was able to join this live, because it brought things into perspective in a more harmonious state where you can bring those two principles into harmony, so to speak. Each doing what each does well in order to work, in order to push you to grow. So yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Thanks. Thank you for sharing.
Appreciate that, brother. All right, so next, Goddess Waves, you're next. Yeah. Hello, Goddess.
Okay. I know, I'm so excited to see you live. Seeing you. I do have a question regarding creating servitors. I have used DNA with sigil activation, but I recently read that you should not use DNA when it comes to like activating servitors, because like when you leave this planet or whatever, like there could be interference as far as part of you still being tied here, I guess. I can't remember where I read it at, but it was like a warning against doing so.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all have any insight on that?
I totally understand the logic. I totally understand the logic and the reasoning behind that.
Oh,
but
wait, my sound off.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
oh,
Cosmic.
Can y'all hear me?
oh,
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I can. Y'all both are, so just go ahead, Cosmic Serpent. Answer the question. Y'all both here.
Yeah, so I totally understand the reasoning behind that because of the nature of DNA, but I think that as powerful as the creation process can be in incorporating things, you know, adding encoding, creating these intricate, you know, deity and these thought forms that are alive, that are part of you, that, like Brother Demetrius said, have life, you know, that you provide them, that you breathe into them. I think that they are created. I think that as powerful as you have to be able to bring that into form, to be able to have change that moves in your life, as powerful as you are in that, you can just destroy that. You don't have to have that tie. That tie is not a necessary thing from when you are no longer on this plane. Great question though. Like, we got to flesh that out later because I need to read that article. But yes, as intensely as you create, you can destroy as intensely, in my opinion.
She's no longer there. She says she can't hear anything anymore. She's gonna have to catch it on the recording. Can you, Goddess Ways? Can you hear us or no? No. See? No.
Yes.
Yeah, I think. Hold on. Let me type to her. Come.
Thank you.
Log out and come back in. Yeah. All right. All right. So let's go to Zeta. You're next. Hold on. Okay, there you go, brother. Oh, hold on. Damn it. Okay, go ahead, brother.
I don't really have any questions, but glad I came to listen to the lecture because it's definitely hitting on some points that I've been currently thinking about in terms of myself and like how to utilize both the masculine and the feminine energy with that, you know, that I already have. So.
Indeed. Well, as you know, I could always send you the list. If I haven't sent it to you already, I can send you the list of the androgynous deity.
Yeah, I think I already have it.
Yeah. You could start using that to really start harmoniously integrating all of that. That's what I would suggest for anybody who's not sure or wants to. They don't know where to start at. Utilize the androgynous deities. That will help integrate the masculine and feminine on a good level. And then from there, you can kind of go from there. But I just want to say this. I have Cosmic Serpent on here, me and her. Hold on. Well, thank you, Zeta. All right, so going back to that question that Goddess Ways asked, you should not create anything that you cannot destroy.
Right.
Exactly what the answer is. You hit it on the head, Cosmic. Never create anything that you yourself cannot destroy. For if you create a servitor, you are the creator. And if you create anything, you also are the destroyer. You encompass both aspects within yourself. The trifold of the creator Brahma,
right,
preserver Vishnu, and the destroyer Shiva and Kali. That's what you do. All right, so yeah, never create anything you can't destroy. Any servitor you create, you should have the power to also destroy it. Okay? Always remember that, because people will tell you a lot of different things. Don't use this, don't use that. But sometimes that they say that because they themselves kind of got messed up when they did it. So of course they're gonna write about that. And then I know other people who do that and have utilized their DNA to create servitors, and are still in power, in control. And so you got to find what best works for you. For Goddess Ways, what best works for you is what you got to use, because people are always going to tell you things.
Right.
On this path is, especially the left-hand path, is very experimental. It's what you experiment with to come up with what best works for you. All right? Let me see. All right. Oops. So let's go to...
Okay, I missed the whole...
Yeah.
Okay, I'll catch it when y'all post it on YouTube. As soon as I asked the question, my sound went out. I couldn't hear a thing. So I just logged back on.
Okay. All right, cool.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Welcome back.
it'll be up on there in about an hour after we're off of here. So.
Okay.
Okay. And let's see. Okay. All right. Thank you, Goddess Ways. Let's go to Cypher. Cypher, you're next. All right. Is your phone muted, Cypher? Because I can't unmute you right now. Check if your phone is. Oops. What the heck just happened? Okay. Cypher. I'm going to come back to Brother Phil. Okay, hold on. All right, Cypher, you there? Brother Phil.
Greetings. What's up? You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Cypher.
Yo, I'm enjoying the build, definitely, man. I just had another question, right? I was thinking about it, right? I remember, right? Everything starts out originally feminine, right? Before the Shri gene. What part does the Shri gene play in this whole equation?
Cosmic Serpent. Take it away.
Great question. Now, I will answer that question to the best of my ability, because that's something that I definitely want to research more before I can give you deep insight to it. But you're absolutely right about everything starting off of original feminine. And that when gender aspects come in, you know, that's when gender, or the sex, not the gender, but the sex is decided, you know, splitting that off into whatever it's going to develop, you know. So being inherently feminine is the nature of creation itself, as you know, as well as when the baby is formed inside the mother, you know, that's definitely a fact. And being able to realize that that is a thing is a great place to start some introspective meditation if you don't have any connection to that, you know. If you don't have connection to the feminine aspect in your life, you know, some people might not have a connection to their mom or any positive feminine, you know, feminine energy in their life. You might not have it, so that's a great place to start if you want to derive your origin point from there. That's really interesting, and I would love to build more on that. I need to do some more research on how that could be incorporated into cultivating the divinity aspect of it in your life later on. So it's great. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yo, could it be that the Shri is playing a part almost like the middle pillar?
Interesting.
That's kind of like separating the two.
That's interesting. That's an interesting aspect. It could, because that's the path that we walk for balance. You know, when Ravana says balance is an illusion, you know, we talk about balance. The word that we could use would be, you know, the infusing of the two, you know, the melding, the sacred marriage of the two, you know. So that definitely would be. And it was an interesting concept. I have to do some more research on that, but yes, that could be, you know. And that whatever you resonate with is right. Whatever you resonate with is true, and it is 100% what can push you forward in your transformation, because that is something I've never thought about, and now I'm gonna go and look into that, because there's weight in all of that. So yes, it's right. It's perfect.
And the sister that was speaking on using your DNA with servitors and entities that you could create, I think like that kind of makes it a bit more powerful and more important. It kind of like gives them like a signal to pick up on, kind of like your own special signal when working with them. I even use like my own like perfumes and link my perfume with a specific entity and stuff like that. It kind of gives them, you know, something to work with, just from my perspective, because in the end, it's all just, you know, from your mind anyways.
Absolutely. I've always incorporated that into mine, and then but it also because it comes from you, and like you said, all is mind. And when you're using your mind the only thing we do when we externalize is just use something to anchor in, and you know that this is a part of you that's included into this entity, or that you're using to feed it, or you're using to activate it, or that you activate whatever's on your altar with parts of you. If you're talking about physical DNA, if you're talking about physical things, then it can get potent and it can get strong, and it does need to be controlled. You know, that realization, like you said, it's strong. It makes it stronger. So it intensifies it. Yeah.
Fire build, man. Fire build, man.
All right. Appreciate
All
that.
right. Thank you, guys.
Brother Phil,
Mm-hmm.
Master Chef, coming to you next. What up?
All right, how y'all doing?
Good.
Yeah, good conversation. You answered the questions that I had. You know, playing off the game and saying, okay, let me question stuff that's in the mind. You end up going, well, okay, yeah, I know this thing, but why don't I ask this question? Because I hear, you know,
right.
What's the word? Something that's if everyone's agreeing on one side, where's the adversary to come in and say, well, no, I want to say something different.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Good.
But you know, that's a distraction. It can be a distraction as well. I have to say that because sometimes I'll end up questioning so much shit that it ends up just taking me down a rabbit hole anyways. Which sometimes I guess it's good to explore the rabbit holes. Other times it's not good because then it just distracts you from where you're going. But then again, you learn where the rabbit hole is, and you say, "Oh yeah, that's just a rabbit hole." So that's about all I got there.
I appreciate that, bro.
Yeah.
And Demetrius said that's Luciferian, which is true. Questioning every damn thing there is Luciferianism. Every aspect, every part, including what we're discussing tonight as the adversary asking that question. That's Luciferianism to the max. All right, Tanisha.
Right.
Do you have a question or are you just chilling? Okay, I see you shaking your head. We're going to let you just lay there chilling. All right, cool. JG, you up next. What's good?
Yo, what's good with y'all?
Good.
I don't really have too many much questions. It's more so like, it's that push-pull, right? That positive and negative, that feminine, that masculine, and and how to utilize that. Pretty much, you know, how to empower yourself and how to pretty much push out what you're trying to push out.
Indeed. I'm gonna actually go over something that Demetrius shared on Thursday, and I added my part to that. When we look at this masculine and feminine, right? Almost look at it like the storm. See, I'm just twisting a little bit, Demetrius. Look at it as the storm. You're the eye in the storm, and everything around you is revolving, moving, flowing, you know, all this stuff, but you're the eye. As that eye, you already have integrated everything in existence, all the polarities seemingly seem like polarities, but in actuality, it's just different vibrational frequency of the same thing. You and how you incorporate and how to utilize what we've labeled, determined, defined, separated, and all these things, bringing it back together, and you're sitting in the center of the eye while all this BS is all around us. That BS is our everyday life. As that hurricane, you're in the eye, utilizing every aspect of what we've been taught or shown or shared about masculine, feminine. You integrate it. You integrate it like the pendulum. The pendulum, I told people this before. People always say, well, you should be in the middle of the pendulum. No, you shouldn't. Why? Because you're still going flux. You're going flow. You're still going flux, going to and fro. You're just doing it less. You should be the pivot, not the pendulum. You should be the pivot that the pendulum's swinging on. The pivot is what's controlling the flow from left to right. That's basically how you should look at the masculine and feminine integration. You integrate those aspects of yourself that you're lacking or deficient in to bring totality to yourself. If you are lacking more in the feminine, you integrate that with the masculine you already have, and then you have integration, okay? Like Lucifer. Lucifer is the prince of darkness, but he's also the light bearer. That's integrating both aspects to be the master over self, all right? So that's another way to kind of look at this. Appreciate it, brother. All right, Noon.
Thank you.
Noon Shavek, you're next.
Hey, how you doing? Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you, brother.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for this build. I'm glad I caught y'all. And you know, I'm on a different time zone, so I get mixed up sometimes. Gotta get used to that. But I've been working with, I've been guided towards feminine deities and energy since I started working this path. You know, Lilith, Astaroth, Kali, La Santissima Rete, Sekhmet, and also Oya. And throughout working with them, I've always been able to gauge where I was spiritually, if that makes any sense. I mean, y'all pretty much answered all the questions that I had coming into the lecture, into the show. But, you know, I'm kind of shy when it comes to talking. So, you know, it's just that in spirituality, we can't think in terms of gender, because I don't think that the spirits think in terms of gender. I think they are more of an energy, more of a yin and yang, and a hard to soft, hot and cold aspect. And the question I did have was, in dealing with these energies, this feminine energy, can you do too much? Can you combine too many of different aspects of the feminine energy, and will that hinder your spiritual progress? You know, because like I said, I deal with a lot of different feminine spiritual energies. I mean, they actually have manifested themselves to me. So I'm kind of like, I don't want to work with too many energies and overload myself, if that makes any sense. So if y'all have any advice for me on this type of aspect of cultivating this feminine aspect of having too much or too little, you know, just enlighten me a little bit.
You'll know. You'll know.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear us? Can you hear?
Did y'all get me?
Yes, I heard you. Can you hear me?
Y'all hear me? I don't think they hear me.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, go ahead, sis.
Can you hear?
Yeah,
Can you hear us?
you. Yeah.
I was. Thank you so much for that question. But you'll know if you start to
Yes,
overload yourself.
I can hear.
Yeah, if you start to overload yourself, you know, like somebody just said, sensory overload is a real thing. It is real, especially on this path. We're so hungry for you know, evolution and for knowledge, and we are downloading things every day, and we're going hard. You know, you'll realize when you have reached a cap. I mean, you know, because these energies are just aspects of yourself, then if you do feel like you've incorporated too much, if you feel like it's sensory overload, that's all a reflection of some things that might be going on within, you know, maybe that's a reflection of your outward life. You know, you may need a break all around, you know. So, but if you are incorporating and you get to a point where you hit a wall or you start to feel burned out, you're going to know, because it's all your energy that's doing it anyway. So you'll know when you need to take a step back. I've been there.
Actually, I enjoy it. You know, actually, it's like, it's very liberating, because, you know, the more that I would do work with them, I mean, every one of them have brought a different aspect in my life. Like Oya, for instance, she came into my life when I needed things swept. You know, when I needed things swept away. With Kali, she the one that was like one of the great mothers that lifted me up and gave me the courage to fight. You know, like I said, Tisi Mama Rete, she was there for me when things need to be cleared out the way. You know, I said like they was there. Segment, she was there protector of my children. It's them the type of aspects I'm reaching towards, and I've also made myself created an entity of my own. You know what I'm saying? And I was drawn to a feminine aspect of creating her. So I mean, it's just an energy that, you know, I was raised around nothing but women anyway. You know what I'm saying? So I always had a relationship with my mom. So I guess that's why I'm drawn to it too. You know, but like I said, I'm glad I had this conversation, this deal with y'all, because it opened my eyes to a lot of things that I'm in the process of doing right now, and I thank y'all.
All right, appreciate that. All right, it started thunderstorming here, so I'm gonna try to speed through this because I don't want my stuff to go down. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna speed through this. So if you don't have a question, just say you don't have a question, or if you want to make a comment, say make comment. If not, say no question or pass. Because it's starting to pour right here, and sometimes this will go out. So Joanna Mendez. Okay, Joanna Mendez. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Any questions, comments?
No.
All right. Thank you.
No problem.
Jennifer, you're next.
No questions for me. It's about the storm here too, so it's lightning right.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. All right, JR, for you to be Universal One. Question, comment?
Just, you know, just listening, cool and everything. Love.
Appreciate them vids you making on Instagram, brother.
Yeah, bless. I'm coming more, baby.
All right, bring that fire, brother. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. So let's wrap this up. Cosmic Serpent. Damn, it's pouring like shit. Anyways, Cosmic Serpent, give your closing statements, contact information for those individuals who would like to get in touch with you. Oh, by the way, Cosmic Serpent, I keep being asked this question.
What?
I told you right now on air, okay? Why do you not have a YouTube channel up? Everybody keep asking me. I can't find Cosmic Serpent's YouTube channel. I can't find it. That's because she don't have one. Cosmic Serpent.
I know.
Channel up, Cosmic Serpent.
It's definitely within the spectrum of what I want to do, and I am going to. I need to talk because there's a brother that was saying it, and I was building. When you don't talk, you forget. So I have to get this out. I have information that I need to remember for myself, even for anybody else. So, you know, it's a form of expression. Don't want to keep you, but thanks so much, the Cosmic Serpent on Instagram, and yeah.
Well, you already know when you do start the YouTube page, most of my subscribers gonna go there and get with you. Rogue Titan subscribers gonna go get with you. So you probably add that up, you're gonna pass us overnight. How you like them being? Yeah. So let me give my contact information. Darkside _Unleashed on Instagram, Darkside Unleashed on YouTube. Let's see. Next week, Trina Hart was going to be on here, but she's going to push it back another week. So next week, probably the Triad of Darkness will come up with something to drop on a class. So I'll speak to Titan and Cosmic Serpent about that. Appreciate everybody coming out. If you want the androgynous deity archetype list, Dark Occultist 99 at Outlook.com. That's Dark Occultist 99 at Outlook.com. If you want the comprehensive androgynous archetype list for your work to integrate the divine masculine, divine feminine, just hit me up. I'll send it to y'all either tonight or tomorrow. All right. Any other questions? Hit up Cosmic Serpent, Rogue Titan, and myself. All right. Dark blessings.
Thank you. Be safe.
Yes.
Be safe.